A little while back, Nintendo did something incredibly kind. They actually warned us about an upcoming Direct more than 2 days in advance. This is incredibly kind because now I don't have to try and make this entire thing in just the one day. I can space it out a little bit more, which is very much appreciated, because I do have exams, you know. The existence of this Direct was announced on the 7th of May, likely 1 month before the Direct, alongside the fact that a Switch successor is on its way. Unfortunately, said Switch successor will not be mentioned during that presentation. With the next 6 months being a blank slate for the Switch, we've got quite the canvas for predictions here. So, with all that said, let's get to guessing. First, we have the classic, the most important part of any bingo board. The free space, the delightful thing right in the middle that allows you to get a bunch of bingos. There's not really anything I can do with this. See, before when there's been things that will just straight up happen, I've put something in here, but like, there's nothing that we know is coming up soon. I mean, there's 1 or 2 things that we'll talk about, but like, they aren't confirmed to be there. There's like a 99% chance they will be, but yeah, there's no true, this is 100% happening, so yeah, I'll just slap in me being bored, because I will be at some point. They get very boring sometimes. Pikmin 4 will get DLC. I swear on it. Pikmin 3 got so much, man. I just refuse to believe literally nothing will be added to this game. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary, and they are still advertising it, still making posts on websites about it. Yes, part of that is because Pikmin is, you know, Miyamoto's special little boy, but if anything, that just strengthens the idea that there will be more stuff here. As for what that new content could be just a bunch more Dandori challenges. I'd be happy enough with that. Preferably, it could be a whole new location, maybe a snowy one, because we didn't really get one of those in this game. I don't know what it could be, but I do know that it should be real. Please. This is the last time I will predict it. After a whole year of nothing, trying to say something will happen seems a tiny bit ridiculous, but yeah, it's gonna happen this time, I swear. Throw it up in that space right there. It really just screams Pikmin to me. Usually from 4 AM to 8 AM. It's a good enough alarm, but, you know, it does get a bit annoying. Chrono Trigger is a beloved title from the Super Nintendo, and for good reason. It's fantastic. So fantastic, in fact, that it found itself ported to the DS years back, and to Steam also years back. Less years back, but still years back. Both to critical acclaim, so why the hell isn't it on Switch yet? Seriously, 7 whole years and this hasn't been ported? Even Chrono Cross, the weird sort of sequel thing, managed to worm its way on here before it. Maybe they want to do a proper remake with hand-drawn sprites based off the game's art. Maybe they just prioritize bringing other old games forward that never got the love they deserve, like Live Alive? I don't know, man. Point is, if they're doing something with it, I feel now is the time that something will happen. You go up there. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam is a new game in the beloved, I think, Professor Layton series. Look, I've never played any. Maybe I will someday. Point is, this is one of the very few things announced for the Switch that is yet to be released. With a date of 2025, I could definitely see it getting a trailer or something here. There seems good. I don't really see any problems with there. It follows the Animal Crossing feng shui rules. Actually, I think that's based off of a real life thing. Yeah, put it there. Now, if you're a fan of the Game Boy Advance library, you'll most certainly realize that 2 of the most important titles on the system are, for whatever reason, missing. Firstly, I'm joking. Firstly, the greatest achievement, Wario Land 4, and secondly, contender for the most open Metroid game, Metroid Zero Mission. You'd think 2 titles as highly regarded as these would find their way onto the GBA NSO thing sooner or later, but no. We had to see him at all. And I have a theory as to why. Metroid Dread's ending concluded this chapter of the Metroid story. Now, before continuing on to the next chapter, I don't see it as unreasonable to look back on the start of this one. Maybe Mercury Steam has been working on a remake of Zero Mission, or more accurately the original Metroid, while taking some influence from Zero Mission, to get ready for the next chapter of the Metroid series, well, the 2D Metroid series. Slap them up there. Now, with Wario Land 4, I have no clue who could be working on that game's remake. See, Wario Land was sort of left to die on the Wii, so I really don't know who will work on this one. Maybe the original blokes, but they're busy with WarioWare, so perhaps not. Point is, Wario Land 3 is on NSO, but not Wario Land 4. Ridiculous, there has to be some sort of reason here. Slap them up there. Nintendo and Xbox have been rather close as of late. So much so that it's rather surprising that there isn't too much Xbox stuff on Switch. Sure, we got Minecraft right near the start, and a few titles such as Cuphead have managed to make their way over here, but for how much Xbox talks about them, you'd think there'd be more. So here's the more. Fallout and Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass on Switch is a big thing that Xbox wants. Mind you, it's not entirely feasible thanks to the Switch's lack of power, but I'm throwing it in anyway. I could see them bringing a watered-down version to Switch as a way to test the waters before getting fully ready for the full implementation for the Switch 2. Something with, say, just some of the indie games, or some of the older, like, Xbox 360 games, so the Switch is about on par with that strength-wise. Well, I think it's a bit above it, but still, put it up there. Now, with Fallout, specifically the third game and New Vegas, I could definitely see those making their way onto the Switch. With the massive success of the Fallout TV show, it only makes sense that it'd be ported there so all the folks looking to explore the wastes finally can. So yes, put that on there as well. Put it in that spot. If you were a Fallout fan, like, not me, you'd understand that choice. On the topic of beloved first-person games involving guns, Half-Life. Portal 1 and 2 made their way onto the Switch a little while ago to quite the fanfare. Now, with that game, it made a lot of sense to be on the Switch considering the level-like structure of the game, but that doesn't mean Half-Life shouldn't be considered too. I love Half-Life to bits, especially 2, so yeah, just chuck it on there. Now, I know what you may be thinking. The YouTuber man, the awesome GN, where's the leaks and the rumors? You've just been plucking things out of your hole this far. I'm here for stuff based off of stuff like that, because those always turn out true. Well, don't you worry. From some leakers in Brazil, same folks who said the Switch 2 is delayed till early 2025, we've been told that we're in for 2 more re-releases, a 3DS one and a GameCube one. The choice of the term re-release makes me think of these more so as a Pikmin 1+2 type of thing instead of, say, the Thousand Year Door remake. So, in predicting what 2 they are, we need to consider what games need the least work done, have the right amount of appeal that it's considered for a port but not a remake, and, of course, makes sense. A Mario and Luigi game is something I've wanted on the system since 2017. Mind you, I no longer want one on this thing, as I don't want another Mario and Luigi game at the end of the system's life to bomb. But like, what other 3DS titles really are there? I'll tell you what! Link Between Worlds. The last 2D Zelda game, excluding Cadence of Hyrule if you count that, deserves to be played by more folks. It's great! Sure, the bastard running the Zelda thing thinks that they're inferior, but it's money to be made, alright? So yeah, let's just slap it on there. Especially since there's no new Zelda stuff this year, and that just has to happen. Another contender for this spot would be Metroid Samus Returns, but I don't know, that does sort of conflict with my other theory. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they get, like, Grezzo to work on it. I want a 2D Zelda on the Switch, man. I know we already got one, but I want another one. With Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on the horizon, we are this close to getting all Luigi's Mansion games on the Switch. And a port of Luigi's Mansion 1 would be an incredibly easy thing to do. I mean, think about it. All you gotta do is, like, clear up a few sprites, and you've got a perfect modern game. Only issue would be the length, but hey, if they can sell WarioWare for this insane a price, I could see them being fine selling a game as short as Luigi's Mansion 1. So go ahead, toss it on up. The only thing taking away from the series is that we did get a remake of it, but I mean, no one really cared about that remake. I own it. I thought it was pretty neat, but yeah, no, most folks would want the original game over, and I'd be inclined to agree. Oh, yeah, right, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. That's coming out the same month. Of course there'll be a trailer. Hopefully, said trailer looks less like ass, but I'm losing hope. Splatoon 3 likes to get updated from time to time. They usually update seasonally too, with spring, summer, autumn, and winter being the times they do it. With the Sizzle season starting on June 1st, this may seem unlikely, but at the same time, with what Splatoon fans are saying, this may very well be the final big update. And what do final big updates mean for Splatoon? Final Splatfests. Nintendo sees Splatoon as one of its big franchises, right alongside the likes of The Legend of Zelda and Animal Crossing. Nintendo will want this final Splatfest to be big and thus announce it here. In a recent tweet, they said stay tuned for the event schedule and theme, so yeah, this would be a perfect time to talk about those types of things, I think. So let's just slide this perfect little guy just right here. Oh god, that looks great. That is the best part I've put on here so far. There are very few Wii U games yet to be ported to Switch, even less ones that would ever be considered. For example, I don't see Smash for Wii U or Mario Party 10 ever finding their way on here through legitimate means. However, I do see these three having a chance. Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. The poor Zelda fans have had no new games in a whole year. It's just so sad. Imagine having to go a whole year without new games in your favorite franchise. I just couldn't cope. Alright. Jokes at the expense of those types of Zelda fans aside, most of the 3D Zelda titles are playable on Switch. Actually, all of them are, bar these two. So why not add them? Come on, it'll make money! For once, I'm gonna separate these two things though, as being honest, I don't see myself filling this bingo board without doing this otherwise. But we'll put them right next to each other though, because like, chances are if one's coming, the other will be. Now, what's the third Wii U game? this thing. Look, I tried to watch a Let's Play, the game just does not appeal to me. Despite that, I still feel like Xenoblade this should come to Switch. The first game was brought on here, the second and third games were made here. Just bring the last piece of the puzzle, man. On the topic of things that do not appeal to me, Fire Emblem. Let's just put one on there. Yeah, put it right there. I don't care, man. I don't care if it's a port or a new game. Just have it on there. It's gonna happen, probably. Mario Party. A constant of any Nintendo system from the N64 onwards. Recently, it was leaked, see there's another one, that a game was in development at Nintendo with the codename Banquet. Now, while this may not seem linked to Mario Party at all, it actually links more than you think. Buffet was the codename for Super Mario Party. Buffet Banquet, basically the same thing. Also, this leaker said that the team behind this game is ND Cubed, the Mario Party guys. So, yeah, it's pretty much just confirmed. Anyway, even without these leaks, the whole team at ND Cube could not have been working on 1-2-Switch 2 or whatever it was called. There's bound to have been some folks working on a different game, and I think that it's Mario Party. Look, if the department behind Mario Wonder can also be in charge of Pikmin 4 and release them both within the same year, I don't see it impossible to release a Mario Party 1 year after 1-2-Switch 2. Look at it. Do you really think that took that much work? No. There's apparently a remake of some Dragon's Quest game on the horizon. I don't really care for the series, but I mean, Nintendo Switch has Dragon's Quest. One of the guys is in Smash. In fact, I think like all his ults are based off of other characters from the games. So yeah, sure, Dragon's Quest. Nintendo Switch Online. There's probably something to be announced here. You know, some sort of relatively big new game being added like Diddy Kong Racing or Yoshi's Universal Gravitation. Potentially a new system could be added, but all that's left that Nintendo would feasibly do is the Virtual Boy. GameCube NSO is dead thanks to Pikmin 1+2, and DS NSO seems cool until you consider factors like the lack of a microphone and how horrifying the concept of playing these games either exclusively in handheld or with gyro is. Now, for these last 5, I'm pulling something special. Why only these 5? Because chances are only one of these will happen. Heck, more than likely, none of them will. See, look at the 5 remaining spaces. You'll notice none of them line up with each other for a bingo. Now, what exactly makes these 5 things I'm putting there so special? See, yes, Nintendo did say that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation, but that doesn't mean we won't see some of the new launch titles announced. But what do you mean? Well, folks, the remake of The Thousand Year Door had code in it for supporting 4K resolution. Now, as you may know, the Switch can't do 4K. Nintendo was already preparing their games for the next system, so who's to say we won't get a game or two announced here that will release at the same time as the next system and have built-in features to really increase its whatever the hell if you play it on the Switch too. For example, let's look at this Xbox case here. It was backwards compatible with the Xbox 360, but it was an Xbox One kind of game, so it had both at the top. Something similar could happen here, with these new titles being given updated boxes to show how they are intended for both systems. So, for these last 5 things, let's talk big announcements. Mario and Luigi. You didn't think I forgot about this series, did you? With the massive successes of the 2 Mario RPG remakes and, more importantly, the fact Nintendo remade 2 bloody Mario RPGs right next to each other, the idea of something Mario and Luigi related not being in the talks at all is kind of absurd. These games did fantastically when it came to the sales and the review scores, bar the most recent entries of course, but surely the multi-billion-dollar company Nintendo is able to recognize the reason for those, right? Surely they can understand that Paper Jam was not too well received due to it being boring as tits with its locations, characters, and its story. Surely they can figure out that the Superstar Saga remake, while very well received, didn't perform the best due to it being a 2017 3DS game. And surely they can see that the Bowser's Inside Story remake did terribly because it was an unnecessary 2019 3DS game. Oh, but Alpha Dream died, you don't. There can't be new games made in this series. I know they died. Guess what, moron? Alpha Dream doesn't own the IP. Nintendo owns the IP. If Nintendo shut down, sure, yeah, I'd agree a new one would be impossible, but they're not shut down. Nintendo undoubtedly employed some of the folks at Alpha Dream once their business shut down. In fact, Nintendo probably didn't buy Alpha Dream on purpose, so that way they could scoop up all the employees they want and not have to get their debt And even if they didn't do that, and there's somehow not a single person from Alpha Dream working at Nintendo, there is still incredibly talented people there, and they will make a new game with these people. They have teams. They have money. They have the knowledge that these games are well received, and because they remade 2 of the other Mario RPGs, have a high demand right now. They could do it, and since it can be done, I have hope it will be done. So I will put it up here. Okay? Okay. I apologize for having to be like that, but the amount of morons who keep telling me, but Alpha Dream has died, it's really starting to get on my goddamn nerves, alright? It's not actually, I just thought that bit would be fun. June 2017, a fabulous direct by all means, especially for 3D Metroid fans, after years of being kicked in the nuts by bad game releases and radio silence from Nintendo. Things seem to be finally turning around. This upcoming June Direct will roughly mark the 7-year anniversary of this teaser. Despite that, we are still yet to see any gameplay from this goddamn thing. It's been over 5 years since the publicly announced delay. 5 years. I don't know what kind of hell Retro Studios has had to endure over that time, but for nothing to be said by them, it doesn't sit right with me. Sure, we got the Prime remake last year, but a number of other studios were quoted as working on that, so I doubt all of the manpower at Retro went into that. So, what gives? Chances are, that delay signified a complete redo. From the ground up. I'm talking having to come up with a whole new story and thus new locations, characters, lore, all that stuff. 5 years for the entire game development cycle of concepting, plan forming, story outlining, basic development, all that jazz doesn't seem too absurd, especially if you think about the scope of these games usually. A Metroid Prime game is a massive sell for a new system. Massive. There's a reason they pushed to ensure the DS had one in its first 2 years and that they announced Metroid Prime 4's existence far before it was close to being finished. Plus, with how beautiful the Prime remaster looked, I could see them using it as their realistic title to compare the Switch 1 and Switch 2's graphics to. They show you the game running on the original Switch, and then they show the game being upscaled or what have you through the Switch 2's abilities. They actually did this once before this generation, with Metroid Dread being the game to show off the difference between the Switch and the Switch OLED. Mind you, the only improvement there was just the darker looks darker and the colors look more colorful, but I mean, hey! Metroid Dread was a good game to show that off. Put them there. That seems like a good row for them. For just recently, over 10 years now, the Mario Kart series has been in stasis. Sure, there's technically been new games, Tour, Home Circuit, I think maybe an arcade one, but one of those is a gacha mobile game that had its best tracks took out of it and put into Mario Kart 8, and Home Circuit is a gimmicky title that costs far too much for how quickly the novelty wears off. And the arcade one is an arcade game, not for homes, not for my house, I can't fit one in here. It's time for a change. It's time for something new. It's time for Mario Kart 10. Mario Kart X, Mario Kart Fusion, it's time for new Mario Kart, alright? Everyone loves Mario Kart. Everyone plays Mario Kart. Mario Kart is referenced in every other form of Mario media. Heck, it's referenced in so many different medias that have nothing to do with Mario. We are getting a new Mario Kart. I highly doubt it took all of the manpower of whatever division is tasked with Mario Kart to port the tour tracks over, especially since half of them look like ass. The whole musical team probably took all of them, but certainly not the whole development team. Nintendo knows the importance of this franchise, and the idea of them not having it as a top priority for the next system is downright impossible. They aren't gonna do Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Deluxe. That's silly. They aren't doing that. They are gonna have to make a new one. And chances are that new one will be right at the start of the system's life and will be the big holiday pack-in title for the next 7 years, like Mario Kart 8 before. Gameplay-wise, it's gonna have some big new twist to try and sucker in more people as well, because they need to convince people, hey, you should buy this new one. I know you have your old one and it works just fine, but look at all the cool new stuff that's in this one. That's why I think my idea of Fusion works, because then it's like, oh, look, you can play as a fusion of Peach and Wario. Doesn't it look horrifying? I think so. Right there. Animal Crossing, especially after 2020, is seen as one of Nintendo's big franchises. Big. As big as your mom big. Despite that, support for the most recent game stopped after about 1.5 years. But I have a theory as to why, and that theory is that they wanted to start work on the next game as soon as possible. Why? To get it ready for the Switch 2's launch. Duh. Animal Crossing was the quarantine game. Plenty of folks who never played any video game prior got well into that series. Of course, Nintendo would want a new one right away for their new system. They want to try getting all those customers back onto this new one. I don't know if 3 years development time is the most feasible, but at the same time, I feel like the priority of this franchise has certainly resulted in a few more folks being assigned to working on it. At the very least, we could see a trailer. Like, say, the Smash Bros. One. Remember at the end of the Smash, and it was like, oh, well, I better get the next place ready then, and we got the release date that ended up getting delayed. That could happen again. In addition, I feel like this game would be a really good way to show off the multiplayer capabilities. Look, the Switch's multiplayer sucks, alright? We all know that. But I have a feeling Nintendo will be working on a new multiplayer for their new system. So, one way of showing off that new multiplayer is having a multiplayer game at launch. And Animal Crossing is quite decent. You know how long it took to fly to islands? Too long. So I think that would be like a big thing in the marketing of like, look, it takes like 20 seconds. It's fast and you're done and you're already there playing with your friends. Isn't that incredible? I just can't wait to play this game for 1 month and then get bored again. But hey, it'll be worth it. It'll be a fun month. There's 2 slots left. Put it in that one. Well, here we are, folks. The final curtain call. The one last thing of the Switch era. Gotta make it count. Gotta make it incredible. And what's one thing that can create universal hype, can be considered an imperative title for the launch of a system, and is something I really, really want, hence why I'm having it up so much? No! 3D Mario. King of the N64. Savior of the 3DS. Pioneer of the new era of Nintendo. A new Nintendo system just doesn't feel right until it gets its 3D Mario. Plain and simple. Nintendo knows this, hence why after stupidly taking just over a year to get 3D World onto the Wii U, they ensured that Mario Odyssey was within the first year. I could see this next system having its 3D Mario be the launch title. Why? Well, firstly, it can't be Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom took years to develop, thanks to its insanely complex physics engine. Chances are that yes, the next game is already being planned as we speak, but I doubt they've even touched the game development phase of that yet, especially with the Zelda movie on the way. Secondly, because it's been so long since the last one, and I'm not just talking about Odyssey, Bowser's Fury, the often overlooked second 3D Mario on the Switch, is an absolute blast, man. It gives people a truly open world sort of experience in the Mario franchise, and it is just amazing. It's been 3 years since that released. I'd say we are well due to see the idea of it be expanded on in a fully new title. In fact, that's right folks, another theory of mine, perhaps Bowser's Fury was a sort of test, feeling out the reception to see if they should completely restructure their new planned game or not. I mean, why else would that, out of all the Wii U ports, get such a new mode? Even stuff like Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which did get something new, didn't go nearly as far as that. Pikmin 3 Deluxe got, like, maps that already existed reshuffled, and that's it. That was the extent of the new content. Okay, there's a handful of new tracks, I think there's like a new boss or two, but that is quite minuscule compared to, hey, let's take this level-by-level platformer and turn it into an open-world collect-a-thon thing, right? Pretty big difference there, and that difference has to mean something, and that meaning is in the form of them trying to test the waters. Or, maybe, perhaps the new 3D Mario isn't Mario at all. Perhaps. Yes, perhaps. It's Super Waluigi Odyssey like the visions told me! There's a few honorable mentions here, stuff I would put in if I didn't suck and decide to include stuff I don't have any interest in. Tomodachi Life, be it 2 or a port, look, people love Miis, right? And it's a good game to squeeze into the end of a system. Plus, with Nintendo including a full-on, canonically trans character in the TTYD remake, I don't see them being too afraid of including gay marriage this time. The primary reason why I didn't include it here is because I feel like Nintendo knows they'd have to do a lot more in the sequel, in the sense that, similar to Animal Crossing, Tomodachi Life is the type of game you kind of run out of stuff to do with quickly. You know, like, it's fun, definitely, you know, fun for those 2 weeks, maybe even a month, but there's a lot less to do compared to Animal Crossing, so I feel like they need to push the game more towards that direction. For example, the kids system. They were a baby. Now they are pretty much just an islander. That's just boring, you know, have more steps. Give us more control on what the Miis can do or what rooms they have, you know, let us like decorate the room of each Mii or look, I don't know, but there's a lot more things that can be done here, and I'd like them to be done. Zelda movie information. I did include it as a priority because it just feels a bit too soon. Chances are they haven't even ironed out the story yet, let alone chosen cast members. I feel like this is going to be quite similar to the Mario movie announcement, and by announcement I mean when we first heard back in, what, 2017? Illumination was working on it. We're not going to hear anything for a while. Minecraft. It'll be here due to the 15th anniversary and the new update, but man, I don't want to talk about it. Mostly due to me having nothing to say, Like, it'll show up and be underwhelming, but this isn't Minecon, so there's nothing... It's pretty much confirmed to show up. I just can't really be bothered talking about it here. Hollow Knight Silksong. See, I don't... it's hard, man. It is hard. Because when it comes to Hollow Knight Silksong, there's so many things going for it being in this direct, but so many things going against it. Of course, the amount of time it's been makes me think yes. The fact that we got we can play Hollow Knight for free this weekend with Nintendo Switch Online, again, makes me think yes. But we didn't see it at the Xbox Presents. Also, yes, this video took me so long to edit, the Xbox Presents has happened. Point is, we didn't see it there. And I feel like it would be there, so the fact it wasn't there, yeah, I feel a bit worried. Mind you, the team isn't exactly owned by Microsoft, but the last time we got, like, significant news for Silksong was an Xbox presentation, I'm pretty sure, so it'd be them, you know, and it wasn't them. So it just isn't gonna happen. Princess Peach Showtime DLC. Yet to get a chance to play the game, so I can't really say if DLC would work or not. Sorry. The Thousand Year Door remake. It's already out, but maybe it'll be mentioned? I don't know, I feel like there's more interesting options to pick for slots, so I didn't bring it up. Among Us. Now, okay, the direct date might have been leaked by an Among Us update thingamajig. I forget the exact details, but pretty much a new Among Us update is coming out. It's supposed to be shadow dropped. The trailer for it accidentally released a touch early or was seen by someone or something like that, but it's for the 18th. Now, the 18th of June, that's a pretty reasonable date for a direct, unfortunately for me. So it might happen that day, and if this leak is true, which it seems like it 100% is, then Among Us will be part of the presentation. So if anything, I should replace the being bored thing, but I don't want to. Oh yeah, by the way, I put the Mario one there. And that is the end of this video, which took me far longer than it should have. Look, I'm sorry, you know, I had a lot of stuff on my plate, but even still, thanks to the fact that this was announced so far in advance, I was able to work on it very slowly instead of condensing it all to the 1 or 2 days, which, if it really is on the 18th, kinda would've stunk, because I've got an exam on the 17th and the 18th, so, you know, priorities and all that, would have been able to make a video. That's my predictions, that is my bingo sheet. What do you think? What would you have added? What would you like to see? You know, where do you think I'm wrong? Tell me in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video or want to come back to it, just so you can be like, ah, they were right, or oh, they were wrong, or what? They got Super Waluigi Odyssey? And if you've watched a couple of my videos at this point, please consider subscribing. Or if you've watched one of them and it was this one and you thought it was really good, please consider it. I'll be reacting to the direct, either live or, rather unfortunately, I'll post my reaction after the fact, but I'll do it, I promise, and I'll be spoiler free. So, yeah, stick around for that nonsense. Bye bye.